Well, first of all, we have to identify what the limiting belief is and then find evidence that it's wrong. Because we believe it's the truth, and our subconscious mind holds to that and brings us more of that. Once we prove that it is not true and hold the belief on the new truth, it will overwrite what the subconscious mind had previously believed in, and thus we're on a new path. But now what happens is that because, we've got years and years of this, it's like the onion. You don't have the baby onion, you now have a full-blown onion. And all of those layers under even a new belief will surface. Mm-hmm. And so with knowing what you can identify it when it comes up and move it out of the way. So there's another thing that I do is I give my clients tools, and I have this one tool that I've actually jumped into years ago when I first learned about through Abraham. Said it takes 17 seconds to shift a belief, because 17 seconds you realize you're in it, right, and you can stop it and go to the new belief. And emotional intelligence says that you could basically do that same thing in 6 seconds. And so I was like, 6 seconds, 17 seconds. If 17 seconds is my farthest out I want to go, and 6 seconds is like the trigger, I had this thing about 5 steps, 5 years, 5, everything. And I thought, well, what would happen if I just said, I decide that I'm going to come to the realization and shift it 5 seconds. Can I do it? And I tested it. And I did. And so I'm like, do you want to stay in procrastination or an emotional turmoil, or, sitting back and saying, I can't do this because, and if so, if you recognize that is what's happening, in 5 seconds, you will also recognize that's where you are. It's also something that we call a state of suffering. And to get to a beautiful state, which is the other side of that, if you can have it in 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years, you can decide. And maybe your space is 5 minutes. That's fine, because you've decided that, and your subconscious mind is going to help you to really grow through things during that time frame. And maybe you look at reducing it from that to, a minute, and then 30 seconds, and then 5 seconds, because you've gotten so much better at identifying when a limiting belief shows up, because it will show up for you. It will stand right in front of you, smack dab in front of your face, and say, I'm here. Now what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. You have the ability to see it immediately and bring back that new decision and say, no, you're not going to stop me. I'm not procrastinating through this. All I have to do is do it. It's only going to take me 10 minutes. And even if it takes 20, it's done. Let's get it done.
Wow, that would change somebody's life.
It changed mine, I can tell you that. And some clients that I have who actually said, I am now doing so much more, so much better. I feel so much better. And it is because of that. Mel Robbins, I love Mel Robbins. She is so, feet on the ground, down and clear. It's all about making a new decision. And Mel Robbins, I teach her 5-second rule to my clients. I have them read the book, but I call it the 5-second tool, because it really is a tool. And for me, it's the process of recognizing, speaking to it, and speaking the new belief. And she says that there's a way, and this is true, there's a way to scramble the subconscious mind by calling these numbers 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your brain doesn't know how to process that, because it's used to moving forward, to make it, to force it. That's why when you go under anesthesia, they tell you to count backwards from 10 or 100. That's why, because the brain rolls over and plays dead right there. And you have the ability from a conscious standpoint to bring in what you need to bring in to make that shift.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yes. And Mel Robbins is so funny. I love her because she's so real. She is like the limiting beliefs will come and stand in your face and say, I'm here. Mel Robbins says, if you want to be in a state of suffering, and I say the same thing, then you're choosing that.
Right.
Stop choosing that.
That's
and
exactly right.
Choose the other side of that. And it can be done in as little as 5 seconds.
You know, and it's funny because it really is that easy to just stop choosing that. And it's like any habit, any negative thing that we see ourselves doing, choose not to do it. And if we just catch ourselves every single time, then boom, pretty soon it's gone.
Yes. And you brought up another key point there, the choosing not to do it. And the not to space is the space of suffering. It's the, I don't want to do this. When I do this, it brings me here. You can feel the suffering in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you do this process and you really jump to the focus on the beautiful side of things, I want to get this project finished. I want to finish writing this blog. I want to do my finances and get my bookkeeping caught up. And when I do that, it's going to be done. I'll know exactly where I'm at. I'll be able to, and there's a different energy there, and you can feel that. That's the space that you want to jump to speak into. When you are in this space of recognizing the pain, if it's causing you any kind of pain, mentally, physically, or otherwise, then think about what would I rather have instead? Mm-hmm. And go to that and speak to that. I'd rather have these finances finished. I'd rather have my schedule set for the week. I'd rather have 10 speaking gigs booked. So let me get on the phone and be in that state of accomplishing that.
Right. And boy, then you feel accomplished.
Yes.
And that kind of just leads you to do more. When you are on that feeling, when you've raised your vibration that high by doing things yourself, then wow, the momentum just gets going, and the universe loves that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, that is the key to opening the door for the universe to say, oh, yes, I love it. Let me give you this, and let me bring this along. And I heard a story the other day about a woman and her family were traveling home from vacation, and a tractor trailer, something happened, it blew a tire, I don't remember what, but it ended up causing a major accident on a bridge. And the car that this family was in was actually hanging off the side of the bridge and dangling. And the mother was so afraid. And at first there was no movement because everybody was basically knocked out. So as people were reviving, and, people on the bridge were, is everybody okay? And all of this. And they started hearing these cries from the car. It was like, oh my God. And people started trying to help to get them out. And the car was rocking too badly. Well, it just so happened that a guy comes along and he says, gosh, I'm so-and-so from the Army Corps of Engineers. And we've got this piece of equipment that can move 10 tons, and let me help. And it was like, great. Where is it? How long will it take for it to get here? And he's like, we were delayed getting on our, wherever they were going, our journey. And we just happened to be right here with this piece of equipment. And so they were able to get the equipment hooked up immediately, save everybody, the best ending ever.
Wow, I love it.
But can you see how the universe made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
It had them delayed taking their journey so that they were behind the accident as it happened,
Wow.
and they were able to come in and basically be a miracle.
That gives me goosebumps.
Yes.
I love that story. That's a beautiful story. And that's the way, if you believe and if you have that mindset that everything is working out for you, that everything is in your best interest, even when something bad does happen, you can look back and see why it happened and what you were supposed to learn from that and keep moving forward.
And be grateful that you can keep moving
Right.
forward.
Yeah. Amen to that. Yes. That's really true. So, self-limiting beliefs and as women, we just, I don't know, we just do it. Well, nobody in my family's ever done that. Well, I've never done that. I've never seen that done. I can't do that. And if we shift that around, our dreams can come true, can't they?
Yes, they can. And, there have been a lot of people who have basically said, being the first is tough. Being the first, this is tough. The first woman president, the first, yes, it might be. But so what? Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And if it turns out to be for the benefit of your family for generations to come, be the first one. Bridge the gap and do, so that everyone behind you as your family comes through the portal of life, they can do it too because they've seen it done. I'm always blessed when I see the conversations of, people that have graduated college. I'm the first in my family to have graduated college. Well, that is amazing because that sets the precedent that the belief that anyone in your family can do it, no matter what the circumstances. Because we always see things outside of ourselves that somebody has done, but we don't adapt it as evidence so that our belief systems can pick it up. And that's where we build a gap. When we see the evidence and we believe the evidence is true, if it happened for them, why couldn't it happen for me? If they graduated college, if they may build a multiple six-figure, seven-figure business, why can't I? And that's not really the best question, but it is the question that helps to scramble the brain because it's going to try and answer it. And there is no answer except all of the limiting beliefs that you've been telling yourself. You can't because you're too old, you're too this, you're too that, you're too this and the other, you're not a man, you're not, all of these things which are not true. I know numerous people who have started businesses over the age of 60 and have made multiple six figures and $1 million businesses. I know people who have written their first book over the age of 50 and have had, whether it was a memoir or the book that was their heart in their work, their heart in their business expressed in this book. To have accomplished that is amazing, because how many of us go to our graves with our stories inside of us, or our stories actually in the grave with us? And that's such a sad, and I won't call it sad, it's just a missed opportunity for our family, for ourselves, for our legacy, and to be in the what do you call it, where all of the books are registered, all the books that get ISBN numbers are
Right.
registered.
I know that too.
Yeah, your name is there. You live on through however long books are ever out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to everything going digital, you'll still be there.
Mm-hmm.
Your great, 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 great grandchildren may pick up something that you wrote and say,